Hey guys, welcome back to Neutral Gaming, and we're back for another episode of Cool Story, bro. We have another episode filled with news and stories from gaming and esports that I'd like to share with you guys. So, let's get right into it. For our first news story for today, we have Ash Ketchum finally becoming the very best that no one ever was. And it was even treated in Japan as if it's a real breaking news. Like, they used all of those big LED screens in Shibuya, Tokyo, to announce that Ash Ketchum finally won the World Championship, and a lot of people were celebrating there. It was really cool to see. On to our next news story, we have the DualSense Edge wireless controller for the PS5 finally being up for pre-order. This controller is a premium kind of controller that you can modify with different parts, and it costs $200 and will be coming out in January of 2023. For the sake of comparison, we look at its counterpart for the Xbox Elite Wireless Controller Series 2, which offers the same kind of premium level of customization for your controller, and that one only costs $155 and kind of like looks a little bit more different than the regular Xbox Series X controller compared to how the DualSense looks like. I'm not sure yet if I'm willing to sink in $200 USD just for a single controller. I think Sony still needs to sell me more on this, but I'm pretty sure some people will be big proponents of these kinds of controllers, how it's going to improve their performance and their enjoyment of the video games that they play. But from my experience, my enjoyment of the game really falls on the video games themselves, not on the controllers or the haptic feedback and everything. God of War Ragnarok has shown that even if they don't fully utilize the capabilities of the PS5 and of the DualSense controller, you can still have a lot of fun. So I don't really think that focusing much or fixating on the controller is really important here, because the controller is just a tool for you to be able to play the game, and I don't think it's worth sinking 200 USD just for this. But if you are going to get it, let me know how it feels like playing with it, because I definitely won't be able to experience this immediately in January. On to our next story, we have Riot Games finally taking back ownership and publishing rights for League of Legends and Teamfight Tactics away from Garena, which will be starting in 2023. This is big news for the Southeast Asia community because, again, Garena didn't really do a lot of favors for the Southeast Asia fans of League of Legends and Teamfight Tactics, because we've always felt like we've been neglected and we've been isolated from the rest of the League of Legends community because we're published by a different publisher here. And that's finally about to change, as League of Legends and Teamfight Tactics will be published directly by Riot Games starting in 2023. Don't worry, there's going to be migration and all of that stuff, so your progression from the Garena servers will be saved and kept intact, and you'll be able to continue on playing after the migration as if nothing happened, except we have better servers and we have better connectivity to other countries and be able to take part of the larger Riot Games ecosystem. With this takeover, it also means that the Vietnam Championship Series, or the VCS, will now be under Riot Games directly, and Riot Games will be doing the operations for that league starting next year. Meanwhile, the Pacific Championship Series will remain unaffected as it's already owned and run by Riot Games. Ever since this announcement, I've seen a lot of renewed interest for League of Legends and Teamfight Tactics from pro players and from influencers and KOLs, and I really think that there's going to be a resurgence for League of Legends starting next year, and I hope that it does bring back renewed interest for the League of Legends Philippine community, so that we'll have more esports tournaments here, we have more esports teams, and we have more brands supporting these teams starting next year, because Riot Games is now directly involved in this ecosystem. We haven't had a lot of League of Legends tournaments in the Philippines for a long while, and we haven't had flagship League of Legends tournaments for a long while, and I think it's time to change that come 2023. Really looking forward to the resurgence of League of Legends and of its community and its esports scene here in the country next year, so I'll be looking forward to that. On to our next news, we have 2 Square Enix games coming out in platforms this week. We have Tactics Ogre Reborn coming out for the PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch, and the PC, and Valkyrie Elysium finally coming out on Steam or earlier this week as well. We've already tackled Valkyrie Elysium before and how disappointed we all are on the finished product, but with all of the hype dying down, we have now a new set of lenses looking into it, and it looks like the Steam reviews so far have been positive, so there's still hope for the Valkyrie profile franchise, I think, and hopefully we still be able to see a new Valkyrie profile game down the line. But what I think we'll definitely see more of in the future is Tactics Ogre Reborn, just because of how well received it has been by both critics and fans when it came out last week. For those of you who do not know, Tactics Ogre is kind of like the granddaddy of all turn-based tactics games. So it's the granddaddy of Final Fantasy Tactics, Fire Emblem, XCOM, you name it. Tactics Ogre Reborn is a nice remake, and I'm really looking forward to playing it sometime when I get my hands on it, but right now my hands are full and I have a lot of other games that I should be playing and reviewing, so I'll just get into that later on. Probably stream it this December, I don't know. But definitely, if you're a big fan of turn-based tactics games, you should pick this game up. You're not gonna get disappointed. On to our next news. Ubisoft just cancelled the pre-orders for Prince of Persia Sands of Time Remake and have been offering refunds ever since. So this news story actually worried a lot of fans because they thought that because of this, Prince of Persia Sands of Time Remake might have been put into the shelves and will not be released anymore. But Ubisoft actually clarified this with a statement and reassured fans that development for Prince of Persia Sands of Time Remake is still ongoing in Ubisoft Montreal, and that fans have nothing to worry about for the future of the Prince of Persia Sands of Time Remake. Ubisoft claims that the only reason why they're refunding pre-orders because Prince of Persia Sands of Time Remake doesn't have an exact release date yet, and that they'll be reopening pre-orders once that release date has been set. For fans of Prince of Persia, it's been a long time since they've had a new Prince of Persia game, so they've really been looking forward to this remake. So hopefully Ubisoft still delivers for this game and that it does well commercially so that we can have more Prince of Persia games in the future, because Prince of Persia is such a staple title in the video game industry and I can't imagine a world without Prince of Persia. So hopefully we get more of that in the future. What we're sure that we're getting more of in the future are Dota 2 tournaments leading up to the International. And our next news piece has everything to do with the International, as it's been rumored that next year's the International will be returning to Seattle. After 4 years of traveling from Vancouver, Canada to Shanghai, China, then to Bucharest, Romania, and most recently to Singapore, it's been reported that the International will finally be going back home to Seattle in the International 2023. Usually during the same International, Valve would announce when the venue will be for the next year iteration, but this year has been different, and that's also the case from last year. We only heard about the International going to Singapore back in May. So it does look like that the International 12 will be held back in Seattle, and if the sources are correct, then it's most likely that we'll be having the grandest stage of Dota 2 in the Amazon Arena. It's been a great ride for the International to have a world tour, and it was fun while it lasted because it actually made the International much more accessible for many people, especially since US has very strict visa requirements for some countries, so bringing it closer to other regions was a dream come true for a lot of fans. But bringing it back to Seattle isn't exactly very surprising. This is long time coming, and I think Valve will be sticking with this venue for the foreseeable future, and hopefully they just continue on ramping up the production and turning the International into a grander and grander show each year, because we've been feeling signs of aging from Dota 2 recently, especially since the International 22's prize pool has been noted for being the first prize pool not to exceed the previous year's spot. So Valve really has a lot of work to do in making sure that Dota 2 continues to flourish in the years to come. And they could start doing that by making sure that the International is something really worth to see and to watch in 2023. Speaking of the International, have you heard of Tundra Esports and how they won because they got the Eva Elfie Buff? It looks like Eva Elfie is supporting esports teams do favors for them, it looks like she really is giving them a buff because these teams become very phenomenal when she is in the stadium. Because if you haven't heard, Eva Elfie was there in the Singapore Indoor Stadium and Tundra just won TI. And it looked like the same was going to happen for Navi because Eva Elfie was there in the stadium for the IEM Rio series and Navi won all of their games during that day. Sadly, Eva Elfie Buff wasn't enough to help Navi secure the victory because Navi was defeated by hometown heroes Furia in the quarterfinals of the Champion Series of the tournament. So it was fun to see how the internet's losing their minds on how the Eva Elfie Buff is supposedly helping Navi and Tundra Esports securing victory. So are you actually one of those believers? Is the Eva Elfie Buff real? Speaking of Eva Elfie, we have more cute girls in our games in our next story because we have NIKKE and my gameplay impressions of the game. So last week I introduced you guys to NIKKE. It's a new game by Level Infinite, the same creators of Tower Fantasy, and I've been playing it since last week because I told you that I haven't had the time to touch it when I talked about it in last week's episode. But now I have spent a lot of time playing the game so far. Not only because there's a lot of eye candy, believe me, there's a lot of eye candy in NIKKE, but it goes beyond that. The gameplay for NIKKE is actually really fun. Or at least for me, we could have different tastes in video games, and I could see how people would find NIKKE's gameplay to be very simplistic, and it's a gacha game after all, so some people might not be interested in this game at all. But if ever you've enjoyed games like House of the Dead and Time Crisis in the arcades before, then NIKKE is your jam because NIKKE feels like how Time Crisis would play out on a mobile game. So it has cover and shoot mechanics and you have lots of big robots and drones to fight here, and it has really exciting boss fights and cool design for those boss fights as well, an interesting story, engaging plot, and all those cute girls as your characters for the gacha system. So what's there not to like in NIKKE? Also, just for the sake of transparency, yes, Level Infinite's PR has been contacting us for neutral gaming and clutch points to cover the game, and that we've received codes so that we can enjoy more of the game and jumpstart our progression in NIKKE. But even without that, I still enjoyed NIKKE so far, and I recommend you at least trying it out for the gameplay. Speaking of things that I've received recently, have you heard of Flex NBA? I'd actually not be surprised if you haven't because this product is only available in the US for now. But you can actually order these products from their online website or from Amazon directly. And with Amazon now offering free delivery, why not, right? Flex NBA is a collectible card game with flexagons as its cards instead of your regular trading card games in rectangular form. And it's a combination of AR technology, Web3, and trading card game. You know how I feel about Web3, so please stop before you call me a hypocrite. Let me explain myself first. So I actually could care less about its Web3 component, but I've been having fun playing around with these flexagons, and as you can see, there's AR functionalities here. I've yet to collect a lot of these hexagons, so I can't actually demonstrate the best parts of this to you guys, like how it was demonstrated to us at Clutch Points. But believe me when I say that this entire concept for Flex NBA is really cool. I really see a lot of potential, not only for its collectability, but also for its gameplay, because I've tried it myself for a little bit, and while it's a bit complicated to play and to set up, it's actually fun once you get the hang of it, and you can really enjoy a game of Flex NBA with your friend or two, even if only one of you guys have the 2-player starter set, like what I have here. And I plan to do more coverage of Flex NBA moving forward, so if you guys are interested in this, then let me know in the comments so that I could create more content regarding Flex NBA. So NBA fans out there and trading card game fans out there, holler me and I'll make more Flex NBA content. And I know this isn't really related to gaming or esports, but I've also taken up a different kind of hobby this year, and I'd like to share it with you guys. I've been into archery, and then I've just taken the next step to actually making it into a full-time hobby for me. I've been doing archery at least once a month since August, and I just bought myself finger tabs, which prevents my fingers from aching from long sessions of archery. So I think I'll be able to last longer the archery range from now on, and from what I've experienced so far with these finger tabs, I have better accuracy, so that's also good. And I'm really looking forward to taking this hobby of mine in archery to the next level, and I'd also like to share it with you guys who, if you've been following me on Instagram, I've been posting some videos of me and some pictures of me in the archery range. I do my archery once a month in the mall. There's an archery range on the 5th floor by Gondiva. It's called Arrowland, and I think it's worth your time and your energy and your money to spend some time doing archery, taking some shots there. It's really fun, and I encourage you guys to try out archery at least once. And that wraps up our episode of Cool Story Bro for today. Tune in again next week for the final episode of Cool Story Bro for the second season. After that episode, I'll be taking a short break from Cool Story Bro for the rest of the year. The week after next week's episode, I'll be in Dubai and I'll be sharing some stories from there to you guys, but I won't be able to create the Cool Story Bro content that I usually do while I'm there. And I'll be staying for 2 weeks in Dubai, so I'm not sure how I'll be able to continue creating content while I'm there with my equipment all here in the Philippines. So while I'm away, we'll be having a short break. And then I'm planning to take the rest of December off as well, because I'm planning to create a different kind of content during the December holiday break. And I'm looking forward to that. I'm not sure yet what kind of content that I'll be making or what form and what topics I'll be covering, but it's going to be different from the usual CSB coverage that we'll be doing. So I'll be using the holiday break to create new content while CSB will be on the shelf until January. I enjoyed producing Cool Story Bro during this year, and I'm also looking forward to the new season starting in January. But for this December break, I'm looking forward also in creating a new kind of content for you guys, a different kind of videos that I'll be producing while I have more time in my hands. And I hope you guys would look forward to that also and still show your support for digital gaming. But that's still 2 weeks from now, and we still have our final episode of Cool Story Bro next week for this season. So let's just enjoy our time together while we still have CSP. And until the next episode, stay frosty, guys.